Hello, everyone. I'm George from Ireland. I'm now commenting on the Bondi Beach attacks in Sydney, Australia, where Hanukkah, part of this Jewish festival of lights, people were attacked by two gunmen. 15 people were shot dead. Others have been wounded. Some of those who are wounded in hospital in a critical condition may yet die of their injuries. So, one of the gunmen was shot dead at the scene, Sajid Akram. His son, Navid Akram, was wounded at the scene. He's in hospital and he may well die of his injuries. And he's suspected being the second gunman. I suppose we don't have to say that his father because he's dead now and he can't be put on trial, and so on, because obviously the police had to respond and open fire. Now, it goes without saying that this is a terrorist attack. This is a crime. This is appalling. So yeah, of course I condemn it. I mean, who am I? I'm a nobody. Don't care about my opinion very much. But you're watching anyhow. So yes, it's monstrous, and civilians must never be targeted, and they have been. Australia is at peace with every other country of the world, even if it were at war against another country. To willfully attack civilians would, of course, be a breach of the Hague Convention and other human rights instruments and so forth. So Hanukkah, one of these Jewish festivals, it's obviously barbaric to attack unarmed people. There they are in a place of worship, not a threat to anybody. And one of the local men, Ahmed Al Ahmed, he courageously went to disarm one of the gunmen despite being disarmed himself, and indeed was shot. So people have been saying that the killers, that they vowed fealty to the Islamic State, and they had Islamic State flags in their automobile. I've heard that dispute, and some people say no, actually they're from a Christian background, and so on. So the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, said they're motivated by this extremist ideology. Well, I don't know. That might be true. It might be false. I don't know of proof to the contrary, and so forth. So that is ghastly. And I know that there are some people or anti-Israeli who'll say, "Oh well, the Israelis are doing this in Gaza and the West Bank. Isn't it good they get a taste of their own medicine? Then they're going to stop and so on." Now, I don't subscribe to that view. So obviously, I don't blame Jewish people in general for the genocide against Gaza, and I don't even blame all Israelis. I'm sorry to say that a very large number of Israelis are in favor. Opinion polls show that 50% of Israelis would approve of killing every single man, woman, and child in Gaza. That's genocide. You can't get a clearer case of it than that. And there's others who say, well, not quite everyone. We'd kill maybe most, but not quite all. But there's a small number of truly morally and indeed physically courageous Israelis who speak up for human rights, say, even we're going to fight Hamas, no, we must abide by international law, by humanitarian law, and no, we mustn't be murdering civilians. So I'm against targeting civilians, whether it happens in Gaza or on Bondi Beach or anywhere else. And I saw the headlines of newspapers in the United Kingdom denouncing this as an atrocity, saying that this is bestial to attack the civil population, so on. And it's right that they should do so. But it's also right that they should do so when it happens in Gaza. So these people are attacked in their place of worship. But mosques and churches have been attacked in Gaza and the West Bank all the time. And indeed, the American ambassador to Israel denounced this religiously motivated violence against Christians perpetrated by Israelis. But it doesn't seem to mind if it's against Muslims, who are far more numerous. So it's just appalling. And I don't see what the Israeli Defense Forces have done, deliberately attacking almost every single hospital, almost every single clinic in Gaza. It's sickening. The willful murder of 60,000 civilians, sometimes directly shooting them, blowing them up, some indirectly, cutting them off from food, from medicine, from medical equipment, and so on. So, wow. And there's absolutely no doubt they're doing it on purpose, shown time and time again, attacking ambulances, the murder of British aid workers when the IDF knew they were aid workers, knew they were British, knew where they were going to, when, knew what their vehicle was, and they killed them anyway. It was no accident. This was murder. So I wish that these murders committed by Israel in Gaza were reported with the same prominence and in the same language, not claim it as a counter-terrorist strike and so forth. And, the Hamas doesn't even exist in the West Bank, and yet still Palestinians are murdered there almost every day. At best, the Israeli police and the Israeli army stand by and watch to protect the perpetrators, not the victims. Armed robbery, their property taken, just put through the most sickening humiliation. And of course, that infuriates people who want to defend themselves. So yeah, I wish this hadn't happened. If I could wave a magic wand and reverse what happened in Sydney, as well as what happened in Gaza, as well as what happened the 7th of October, yeah, I would do so and end the cycle of violence. Um, I remember the late Robert Fisk, not someone I had a lot of time for, but he hit the bullseye when he said there's an exchange rate to lives. In the American media, one American life might be worth 2 Israeli lives and might be worth 100 Palestinian lives, and the prominence with which it's reported, and indeed the lexis used to describe this as a targeted killing or a military operation or neutralizing a threat or something like that, euphemistic language rather than murder, a terrorist attack, barbarism, and so forth. When they think it's their side, there's always this my side bias. So yeah. I don't want the Jewish community in Australia to come under attack. Absolutely not. There's no excuse for the least act of violence against any person in Australia, whether Jewish or not, whatever his or her views on Israel are. There's no excuse for almost all of the violence that IDF has perpetrated upon the long-suffering and virtually defenseless people of Gaza. And it goes on. Since the ceasefire, well over 100 Palestinian civilians murdered, well over 1,500 buildings destroyed. They're still living in rubble. The rebuilding is going to take very, very long time, making it almost uninhabitable. So it's absolutely sick. It's sadistic. It's revolting that they should do this, that they should get away with this, that there should be no accountability. Israel, which gratingly brags about its supposed exemplary human rights record, as well as holding thousands of Palestinian hostages, many of them children, the widespread use of torture, deliberately malnourishing people in prison, as proven in the Israeli Supreme Court itself. So, wow, there is so much evil and cruelty in the world. It's obviously something which enrages all right-thinking people. So I would like it to stop. And obviously there's no easy solution, but, there are lots of good ideas that will never be implemented, precisely good ideas like Israel withdrawing from its illegal occupation of the West Bank and stop trying to control Gaza's airspace, territorial waters, and most of its borders, apologize, pay compensation, and suspected war crimes commissioners like Netanyahu be handed over to the International Criminal Court. And the same goes for some people in Hamas. And obviously, Hamas apologized for what they did on the 7th of October and so forth. And a right of return. All Jews whose ancestors came from Morocco, Iraq, Yemen, Egypt, so forth, other countries in Araby, have the right to return, restitution of property and citizenship, and likewise Palestinians allowed to return to Israel proper as Palestinian citizens and so on. Right, but it's a wonderful idea, but don't bet your breath.